Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Spiggs Gaming, and today I'm going to be reacting to another Halo lore video, What Happens When Spartans Die. I don't think it's ever been really talked about in the games, or in the books, or in the TV show, so let's figure it out here.
Legend that Spartans never die, or they're just simply missing in action, is a really cool phrase, but we all know it's untrue. Many Spartans have been killed in action. So what happens when they die? What happens to fallen Spartans? Do they get funerals, and how are they? So today we're going to tackle this topic. Let's get into it. The ancient Greek Spartans were some of the best warriors that the world had ever seen by its time, but despite this, they still died on the battlefield in large quantities. Although Spartan law towards death and how to deal with these kind of individuals dying wasn't as badass or impressive as somebody may first think. In many cases, if a Spartan died on the battlefield, they would simply just be buried right there on the spot, and this was due to the impractical nature of lugging around a dead body to other grave sites, or hundreds of miles back to their homeland. Now, if a Greek Spartan managed to die of natural causes, let's say in the comfort of their homes, well, then they would simply be buried just like any other person, and typically there was just no special service for these elite warriors in their funerals. Now, the Halo Spartans, inspired by these warriors, well, their deaths and or funerals were dealt with in a slightly different way.
Didn't think anyone survived the Gothy, sir.
Spartans never died, George. They're just missing in action.
First off, let's talk
What was that
about
from?
the missing in action reports that were very common throughout the war with the Covenant and the Human Covenant War. Now, you might know by now that this was solely to keep morale high and place those Spartans up as demigods of sorts. So they would never say that a Spartan died, instead they would just say they're missing in action. Spartans don't die, they're just missing in action, right? But this was very essential to giving humanity any little bit of positivity and hope, and that was the sole purpose of doing this with fallen Spartans. But now that chapter is complete, and it's finished. The Covenant-Human War has ended with humanity winning, and more information regarding Spartan deaths are slowly coming out. If a Spartan was to be severely killed in a hostile, overwhelmed location, sometimes their fusion core powering the suit would be detonated, causing basically a mini atomic bomb of sorts. Now, there's only a handful of reports of this actually happening, but explosive and fiery deaths did occur. Now, the neat thing about Spartans in a made-up sci-fi world such as Halo is that medical and technological advances can do some very awesome things, especially when you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar suit of armor on a superhuman. For example, Blue Team member Linda, along with many other Spartan 2s, actually had the ability to enter a type of stasis before dying and somehow still hold on to life just long enough to eventually be revived. But how is this possible? Well, of course, the Spartan armor. The Mjolnir armor is as mysterious as the mythological hammer that the name is inspired from. Deep within the inner workings of the armor, there are some special instruments, some special technology that can place the nearly dead human in the Spartan suit into a state of hibernation and preservation. Severe life-ending injuries were able to be halted for extended periods of time, weeks even, until medical assistance could be obtained. For all intents and purposes, though, these Spartans, at a time, were in fact dead, but through the power of the Mjolnir armor and other means, they were able to be brought back to the world of the living, and even get back into the battlefield not much longer after being revived. In Halo Fall of Reach, the animation and also the book, John and other Spartan trainees were at a military funeral aboard the Atlas, where almost half of them just died from the dangerous augmentations that made the Spartans so powerful, besides the Spartan armor. Flags have been laid over the capsules that which had the fallen Spartan bodies in them, and the officer spoke, "We shall remember our dead," and then said, "We commit the bodies of our fallen to space." The capsules would then be fired and shot off to unknown space. And that was their way of honoring fallen Spartans. Now, the most lore-rich piece of content involving Spartans dying is Halo Reach, which was all about the ending of Reach and also the Spartan 2 Noble Team. Most notably, we have Spartan 6 dying at the end, fighting to the bitter end, but eventually eventually meeting his fate and dying by the hands of the Covenant. Now, there may be some information and lore regarding how the UNSC and Oni have honored Noble Six and Noble Team, but I just couldn't find it. But due to the secretive and criminal nature of these Spartans, however, it's unclear in my research whether Spartan funerals were or will ever come to the public eye. The context of each Spartan does matter during the Halo timeline when it comes to a proper funeral and military honor. Plus, with how secretive, for example, Oni is, it's likely that Spartans involved with Oni get very exclusive secret funerals, if any at all. More well-known Spartans, such as the Master Chief, would undoubtedly get some more inclusive military funerals, something much more public and something much more inclusive with the rest of the military and, low-ranking soldiers, for example. But with the lack of family, friends, and a real life, a funeral isn't something guaranteed by any Spartan, although the story might be different with Spartan Force, but that's a whole nother subject here. The Spartan 4 program was crafted after the Human Covenant War, so the politics, ethics, and information was naturally very different everywhere. Instead of Spartans being coerced into a life of being a Spartan, well, there was more wiggle room, like allowing other branches to serve as Spartans, like Buck from Halo 3 ODST, and then
Halo
put
4
as a Spartan in Halo 5. In addition to this, there was public iteration of the Spartan 4 program, making it much less secretive,
he's a
much more
Buck.
public, and with the lack of a war on the military's back, things could finally be, I speculate, much more proper. But by the end of it, after thinking about this subject for quite some time, in the Halo lore, I don't think humanity as a whole will ever grasp all that the Spartans have sacrificed. I don't think they will ever appreciate them as much as they should be thanked. An entire life dedicated and eventually dying to saving humanity, that's a big sacrifice, and I don't think they will ever really see that. I think Dr. Halsey says it best at the end of Halo Reach as far as giving thanks and honor, as she says here.
Our victory, your victory, was so close. I wish you could have lived to see it. But you belong to Reach. Your body, your armor, all burned and turned to glass. Everything. Except your courage. That you gave to us. And with it, we can rebuild.
There has been countless funerals without a doubt not discovered in accessible lore, but another big one is Halo 3, Lord Hood honoring fallen soldiers in general, which you could say include the nameless Spartan warriors that weren't given a proper funeral or gratitude for their sacrifices.
For us, the storm has passed. The war is over. But let us never forget those who journeyed into the howling dark and did not return. For their decision required courage beyond measure, sacrifice, and unshakable conviction that their fight, our fight,
I love this game so much.
was elsewhere. As we start to rebuild, this hillside will remain barren, a memorial to heroes fallen. They ennobled all of us.
Spartans never die. They're only missing in action.
So yeah, I kind of agree. Spartans never die. They're just missing in action. And when I corrected him and said Halo 4, it's because he said Buck from Halo 3 ODST, but it showed Spartan Thorn from Halo 4 Spartan Ops, and I got the two mixed up. But yeah, I mean, I feel like if Chief died, which I think is what they're kind of leading into, just a little bit, I think everybody else in the UNSC would, like, it would be a bigger deal if it was Chief, because he is perceived as, as hope for everybody, and he is like the poster guy for Spartans. So I kind of feel like that. I kind of agree with the guy about how if Chief died, it would be a bigger deal. And yeah, I mean, we saw plenty of Spartans die, especially in Reach. I'm still not over all of them, but I think the one that was like the saddest to me was I cannot remember his name. I am terrible with names, but it's the guy that like picks you up and is like, tell me to make it count. You know, like that one kind of hurts. Okay, that's it, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, then be sure to smash the like button because that'll help the channel tremendously. Comment down below what you guys think of this video, and do you agree? Spartans never die. And be sure to subscribe if you guys haven't already, and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever I post videos, so you do not miss me doing any more reactions or doing any more blind defeated game playthroughs. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye, everybody.